Hello, everybody. Uh,
Hey.
we are hanging out tonight and talking about FTL, Faster Than Light. It's a Steam game. It's available for purchase. And I guess I can just start out. I'll have everybody introduce themselves. We're still waiting on at least one more person. So go ahead.
Hopefully,
I'm
two more
Sonia.
people. Oh, I'm Robert.
And I'm Tony. Hey.
Yay. And I think we'll have Steve hopefully soon.
And
So,
hopefully Amanda.
Also, oh, and Amanda, yeah, I did not invite her to it. Let me go ahead and do that. She put herself as a maybe, so I don't
Oh,
know.
did she? I thought she said she was going.
Amanda, what's her last name?
Hagen.
Hagen. I should know that. Here we go.
Should know that.
I should know that. Okay, so I invited her. We'll see what happens. I guess I'll just start out with an easy question. What was your first impression of the game? Or Robert?
I'm getting a message
Okay.
from hopefully one of them. Let's see. Oh, it's telling me that Google Hangout's starting.
Okay.
Okay. My
Hey,
first-
Robert,
Yeah.
could you do me a really quick favor and grab me some headphones so I can plug my headphones in? Because I can hear you a little bit.
You want me to put headphones on?
Or either one of us.
So, do you want headphones?
I'll take headphones.
Okay. So, alright, I'm gonna stop talking then.
Okay.
Okay. I guess I could start then.
Cool.
For me, it seemed really simplistic at first. I thought it was like just really basic, but as I went through the game, it just there ended up being a lot more factors that were to the game than I thought before. Like before, I thought, oh, it's really easy. You just shoot the guy, and you aim at weapons or something. And then just later on through the game, like you'll go through different scenarios, and you'll just be forced to play in a different way sometimes. There's just a lot more variety in it than I thought. So I thought it was simplistic at first, and I guess maybe the graphics, lent to that. But yeah, it's actually a lot more varied than I thought before.
Yeah, I was a little bit misled by how complex the game was actually based on the tutorial a little bit. I thought there was going to be a lot less to have to do. I know that you had to run around and repair things and do all that and shoot at different enemies and stuff, but there's so much more about the upgrades and things I didn't realize that I had to consider. So I liked it for that because there was more to it than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was like, oh, it's just going to be me attacking other ships and repairing things, and that was it. But it's a little more complex than that. So I really enjoyed that there was more to it. Although I do kind of wish there was some kind of tutorial thing in the tutorial about that a little bit more. I don't know. Either I missed it or it just wasn't there. So it took me a few times to figure out what I needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, the tutorial's really short.
I kind of get that, though. They don't really want to be having you sit there all day. They want you to get to the game, but there was a few things that I'm like, wow, I am really doing badly because I don't have an upgrade or something that I should have at this point. So
yeah,
I kind of got that.
Yeah, trial by fire.
Yeah. So Robert, I know you're typing right now, but what was your first impression?
Well, I was going to mention that Steve is on. He is just, he needs to make sure he likes Uncharted Interactive, and then you may need to send him the invite again. So, while
just let me
I'm
know.
talking, you might chat with him, figure it out.
Okay.
Anyways, my first impressions, well, I agree with Tony in the sense that it ended up being having more depth than I had originally thought. I thought it was going to be a pretty straightforward, just fly, attack or don't attack, kind of a situation. And it kicked my butt a lot of times until I kind of figured out how things worked out. But for the most part, my first impression was this is pretty cool. You know, I liked the idea of kind of managing the ship. You know, after a while, when I started to really get the hang of it, I really started thinking about, okay, well, how many points do I need for this, and do I really need all the points in that? You know, maybe I can take a point out of there and move it over here. You know, and I don't have a lot of money, and oh my God, I'm running out of fuel. So it was a pleasant surprise. But I liked it. It was a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny. I wasn't like super excited at first to play it, but then when I started to play it and I started hearing about other people really enjoying it, then I got really excited about it, and now I could see myself being extremely addicted because I want to do better. I'm not that good at it, but I want to get better and I want to get further in the game. So, you know, that's kind of how I felt about it. Well, anyways, I'm still waiting on Steve, but I guess we could just start talking about the design of the game. What did you think about the design of the characters and it being a whole kind of a top-down game and everything like that? What did you think about that?
I think it worked really well, being top-down. I think the other reason I was kind of excited to play it was it reminded me a little bit of a board game. I can't imagine it being any other. Well, no, I can imagine it being a 3D game, but I liked it. Wait, the question was, what was the question again?
It was just about the design and the game being like a top-down and the way everything looks. You know, well, pretty much that generic question.
I guess I'm talking more visually.
That's fine.
But yeah, I liked it. I kind of liked the pixelated aspect of it all. I kind of wish it was zoomed in a little bit more on the ship, because I felt like when a crew member was standing like right next to a door, I'd sometimes click on him when I meant to click on the door, or vice versa. You know, little things like that. I mean, I know you could also manage that stuff from the HUD. Like if you wanted to click on a character, I could click on their name and it would select them. But they all look the same pretty much. So it's like, is that Logan or Jonathan? You know, and then I have to hover over. Oh, it's Logan. You know, and then so unless I commit all that to memory, that can be a little tough.
I didn't really care so much about who I was using. I just cared about their level of health. Well, I just looked at the bars.
The reason it mattered to me, and I don't know if you knew this, but the characters actually level up their skills in each of their categories.
Yeah.
I actually had certain characters that were better at flying and others better at managing shields and all this stuff. So I tried to keep them in their sections because that's what I wanted them to be good at.
Maybe that's why I wasn't doing so good. I wasn't paying enough attention to everything.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, like you said about the tutorial, they don't tell you so much, and even the little amount that they do tell, there's a decent amount of information, so you don't remember it all instantly the second you play. You sort of have to.
I feel like it's one of those games, just the nature of the game is kind of like they give you, the tutorial gives you enough of an idea of how to play the game that you can actually play. But there's still a lot of exploration you have to do, not just in the game world, but in how it's played. You know, like one of the first challenges that I kind of came across was I got some kind of ion bomb. Oh, hey Steve.
Can you hear us?
Oh, that's his picture.
Yeah, I see his picture.
I'll keep talking until he appears.
Okay.
Anyways, I got this like ion bomb weapon, and I didn't know the way it was described was.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yep. Excellent.
Yay.
Can't see you, but we can hear you.
That's okay.
I don't know about the video. It says videos on.
Well, it just shows your picture for us.
Yeah.
Do you see a video of yourself on here?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's kind of funny, actually, when it bounces back to you and it's all you just like this.
I'll
It
have
does.
static pictures.
Didn't know you'd be here.
But yeah, I saw this thing, and the way it was described was, does no damage, comma, does 4 ion damage. So
Right.
the impression I got was like, okay, my first impression of that was, okay, it doesn't do damage, it just
No.
does ion effect. But then I thought maybe that's just a different source of damage. Like,
Well,
you know,
did it say does not do hull damage?
no, it just said does not do damage.
Huh.
And I felt like if it was just a different like element type, you know, like a fire or ice damage, then it should have just said, you know, it shouldn't have even said that does no damage. It should have just said does 4 ion damage. And then, of course, the next problem was I had no idea what that meant, so I didn't know what was the best way to use it. So I actually ended up using the internets to figure that one out. But for the most part, I guess going back to the tutorial thing, I see your desktop, Steve.
Oh, I see it.
Might be the best I can do.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, you can actually like bring up stuff and like while we talk about
You
it.
could just play the game
Yes,
while we're talking
play
about
the
it.
game while
Yeah. Well, real quick, Steve, I'm gonna go back to the first question that was asked. What was your first impression of the game?
My first impressions were that by the title it was a game about losing. As by usual popular context, FTL stood for the lose. So I really had no interest in it until Robert said, hey, you know, check it out. So I was thinking, you know, I might try it. I enjoy board games like Battlestar Galactica, so I thought I might give it a shot, even though I wasn't a huge sci-fi fan to begin with. So after first picking it up, what I noticed was I didn't understand anything. But the tutorial was actually pretty in-depth and straightforward. And best of all, it wasn't 20 steps. It was maybe like just a quick scenario.
Yeah, it gave you the basics.
Right into it.
Yeah.
So it has the capacity for real, you know, it has the capacity to kind of really jump in there and turn the game into something, how would I put it? Something you could really advance on and be, oh, they're all dead. Something you could really...
Oh, are you playing, Steve?
I am.
Oh, we can't see it. We can only see your
Steam
game thing.
Steam, we can't actually see the game.
I'll fix that. But I like it because it allows me to really progress as a player in the game. However, if I just want to point and click at things, I can do that too. It allows me to use the 1 through 0 to select people, or to select my weaponry, and allows me to use the F keys in order to select people.
Right.
Not to mention, you know, I can select all of my different utilities. I can turn off the engine. I can add more power to the shields. It really makes me feel like, I mean, who even needs the mouse at this point?
Yeah.
You can play this
Feel
whole
like a
game.
starship captain.
Exactly.
I'm bad. I'm terrible. I use the mouse for everything.
Oh, I use the mouse for most stuff too, but I'm almost imagining like a peripheral for the game that's like a starship console, and you've got knobs and, you know.
They should have that come with it. You know.
Oh, there's the game.
Yay! Oh, see, you have the other ship. See, I suck. I can't get that far.
You'll get there.
Everyone else got there, and I didn't. Oh well.
Well, you haven't played 50 hours like I have.
You know, actually, the sad thing is I have played a lot of hours. I just haven't gotten very far.
I don't know about 50 hours, but you guys played some. Well,
Yeah.
actually, while we're on that, what's everyone's highest score?
Oh no, I don't want to say it. I'm
I
embarrassed.
didn't know.
I'll go. Everyone else. No, wait. Oh no, say yours first.
How would I check? Let's see.
You
Yeah.
go to Hangar, I think, and then you go to...
I made a screen cap just to remind me. Oh god, this is embarrassing.
I was never
just
really
have to
sure
turn the
what
game on.
in the game gave you a high score. I seem to have gotten high scores when I was more fleeting and just ran away from everything.
Maybe it's based on distance?
Potentially.
Or just
Well, it depends on.
I would think encounters would matter too, though.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Oh, there.
I mean, you get experience, and your guys when they get experience. So I wonder if that's. Now I know they get experience. I didn't know that before. So.
Well, my highest score, I'll go first.
Okay.
My highest score was it was, let's see, 1,250. That's my highest score.
Did you beat the game, Robert?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
Yeah, the flagship's really tough.
I actually, in that game, it was the furthest, well, if it's my highest score, then yes, it's the furthest I've been. But in that one particular game, I was going really strong, and I did not properly manage my fuel. And
You ran out, and if you don't find a store, you're in trouble.
Well, this is what happened.
Yeah.
I almost did that.
I entered a new area, and I had a couple fuel, and so I'm like, all right, I'm just going to travel and try and find a store. And then I found, I don't know, I got into some combat, and then I had to like backtrack or something was going to happen, and I ended up backtracking right into the fleet. And it just became a mess, and I was doing really good, and I just, it was one slip up, and it gave me some chances. I was actually, I don't know if this was coincidental or if they actually designed it this way, but they actually gave me some really interesting opportunities to pull out of it, I was sitting there dead in the water, and I was able to, I didn't know you could do this, put out a distress beacon.
Oh, I never done that.
I didn't know that either.
Put out a distress beacon. And what happened to me was an enemy ship showed up, and so I went to fight it, and I basically won, but what it did is it ended up basically FTL'd out, and so I didn't get to kill it. Had I killed it, maybe it would have given me some fuel. But I didn't kill it, and the fleet ended up showing up and then getting me. But I kind of got the impression that if you put on a distress beacon, there's a chance someone friendly will show up, there's a chance someone bad will show up, but in any case, it's almost like it's giving you, even in defeat, it's giving you some opportunity to kind of turn around, and I didn't manage to do that, but, I mean, I failed in the first place, so.
Yeah.
I thought it was
that's cool.
I've never
funny,
been a big fan of games that limit you what you can do by resources, especially in scenarios where it even comes to just movement. However, what I did like about that was the fact that it does kind of allow you to, you have one last chance to get out of it. And even in some scenarios where you're ahead, you can still die.
That's the scariest thing. Like Robert was saying, you could be doing really good and have like everything set up and be like, yeah, I'm gonna win this game, and then just one thing happens and you're dead.
Yep.
Fuel. And there's no like load.
I had it one where I was doing super well, and I decided to attack some ship. I didn't have to, but I thought, I'll just do it this last one thing. I'm cool, because I had like all this points and I had all this stuff and I was doing really well. And I was almost to the end of this one sector. And so I was like, I'll just fight them. And they annihilated me, like, horribly. And I was dead within like a few moments. So like, I was stupid. I should have just not bothered, but I did. I find that, like, in some cases, I guess you have to ignore things in order to go further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know what my strategy was. I don't know.
Yeah, I tried to be a hero, and I always helped people in distress, but there were some cases where it was like, do you want to destroy them? And I'm like, nah, I'll just take the, the reward. There was one time though, I was like, nah, they're gonna die for this because they ambushed me, and they were mean. They were just mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the first realizations of how grueling this game was I sat there and I learned, you could name your characters. I thought that was amazing. I'm like, my go-to name is Brawl. He's going to be the captain of this ship. Second planet I go to is a horde of spiders is overrunning
Yeah.
a ship. Do you want to help them? And I thought, hell yeah, I want to be that good guy. Next thing you know, we're overrun. Brawl is dead. The captain of the ship is dead. My main character of my Firefly TV series is dead. And I was expected to go on this voyage, and it made me think, well, next time someone has a problem, I might just fly by for this.
Just might avoid the
ratings.
Yeah. You're like, whatever, those mantises are raiding your ship. I don't really care. I think I'm going to go to the store. So,
Yeah.
I used to worry about the nebulae, and they're pretty nasty. But man, those darn asteroid fields.
Oh no.
Those wreck me.
Because then you're done with the fight, but things are still hitting you while you're trying to repair your ship, so it makes it worse.
Right.
No, the worst one though are when you're next to a star or a sun or whatever, and there's a solar flare. That's the worst. I hate those. Every time I jump into one, I would just be like, "Oh God, not this again!" Because it'd be like I have to fight these people, but then I have to worry about the solar flares that are causing fires in my ship. So
Yeah. I mean, that's really tough. A way to get rid of fires easier, I don't know if you know, is you can sort of vent the oxygen out of your ship.
Yeah, I did that a couple times.
I tried to do that. I actually had a massive fire between the cockpit and like the rest of the ship it was like 4 tiles big, and all my crew members were behind it because they were busy fighting people. And it was the end of combat, and all there was left was the fire. And I opened up doors in such a way that it would vent all the oxygen out, and it just didn't seem to help. I don't know. How quickly does it work?
It takes a little while. Yeah, it can take 15 to 30 seconds. So. Also,
don't ever double click. Don't ever double click the open doors button on your subsystems.
Oh, really?
It opens all of them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? Oh!
Yeah, not bad.
Oh no! Wait, how do I not do this? They're all dying.
Close it.
Close. Well, there's a button. There's another button above it that you can click on, and it'll close all the doors.
You just don't press the red button, your brother.
Oh,
pressed
God.
it.
Okay, I see now. I almost see.
Yeah, see how fast that dropped your O2? That was...
Yeah, he almost killed his whole crew.
If you open those doors, all the doors, and then that door function gets damaged, what happens?
You're dead.
Are you just screwed? Okay.
Yeah, you need to repair the door function, and you're not going to do that when you don't have any oxygen.
Oh,
I actually have a question for you guys. Before I was good at the game, before I knew what the heck I was doing, even though I still don't, the first thing that crossed my mind was this game would be so awesome to play with multiple people. Would you guys agree? Because as much as I would like to believe it would be really fun to be managing a ship with a bunch of people, I also feel like if you were only controlling one character, it would get pretty boring.
All my childhood dreams would come true if I could be a crew member on a spaceship.
Yeah.
Even in a game, it doesn't matter. If it could be multiplayer, that would be so awesome.
There is actually a game out there. I don't remember what it's called, but it requires multiple computers, and each person takes part in kind of the great spaceship. And then one person plays captain, and it's funny because the captain actually doesn't get a computer. He just stands there and tells people what to do. It was an indie game that was created, and you'd have an engines expert, you'd have a weaponries expert, and each person, you look at that little screen that you have in Faster Than Light, and each person would have about that much information per bay. Mm-hmm. So what you'd be doing is you could create, obviously you could make a game like this where it's, player versus player, and it's just spaceships bumping into spaceships shooting each other all day.
Yeah.
But to actually give people enough responsibility that they stay interested in what they're doing, they actually increased how much detail there was with each bay. It wasn't just, is the gun working or not? It was, how much ammo do we have? You know, how cold is it outside? Am I wearing shoes? Do I need to go to the shoes bay?
Yeah, no.
There will be a shoes bay on my ship.
I'm sure it would work if you added more depth to each of the roles, but I mean, I was imagining with the game the way it's currently, if it would still work that way.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think a part of the part of the fun of it is the hectic nature of having multiple things to manage. I mean, it's great that you can pause the game because otherwise it can be just insane. But yeah, just I think having all of that to manage helps make it fun. And if you had very little, it would be difficult to.
Yeah.
I was actually a little uncertain about how I should say I'm still unsure how I feel about being able to pause the game. Is this what you're talking about, Steve?
That's it. Artemis or Artemis or Artemis.
Artemis, yeah, I guess.
Spaceship Bridge Simulator. And as you can see by the large, overweight nerds sitting in a room with a lack of social lives, you can tell that they are indeed the captains and crew members of a massive Artemis spaceship.
That's pretty funny.
I guess I would be the odd person out then. So I'm not one like that.
Because you're not fat. But we can change that.
No! Never.
They actually had an awesome thing they were doing a while ago where if you could download a free version or like a mini version or something, and you made an online video of it basically showing, you and your people playing the game, they would actually give you and all your friends the full version for free.
That's cool.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Let's see, yeah. But it's a kind of a cool experience to be able to, let's see if I can find some gameplay. You actually have multiple people. Can you guys see this?
Yeah,
I mean, people were making videos. They have all these subsystems and screens, and people are screaming out, what orders that they need or what actions to perform, and it was such a team-based game. And when this first came out, there were no visual graphics or anything interesting. It was simply just numbers and lines, and it looked like one of those T80 calculators.
I love how they all are Star Trek fans. That's fantastic. Like no other show, just all Star Trek.
But
other ones might have been bullied into it.
Yeah.
The only inaccuracy in this video is that most of these people usually don't have friends. So that's where FTL comes in. So you're basically allowed to relive that scenario by yourself in a more controlled universe.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question about that. I want to ask a question about your ship getting invaded, mostly because I had so much trouble with it. What was everyone's strategy when their ship was invaded?
Ooh, I want to go. There's a really mean strategy. You get improved blast doors, and then you just vent the oxygen.
Okay. I tried that though, and I still failed.
At the doors, and I mean, if you do it in a certain way, like a really safe way to do it is to put like most or all of your crew members in the med bay and then vent everything else.
Yeah,
so
that would have been
if
perfect.
They actually get out, they're going in the med bay. If they don't, then they're dead. So they have to fight you guys while you're healing, or they asphyxiate. So
my bigger problem with people coming on board was just simply the fact that it was usually during a fight, so I couldn't really remove people from their stations without it, without sacrificing those benefits, But yeah, by the time I got the blast doors, I didn't get many invasions, but I definitely wanted to vent them out. That just seems like it'd be very rewarding.
Yeah.
I also think there's a lot of emphasis in the game on I guess combat. And I think it would be really neat if there was more, like, just other little things like, oh, you have to transport something from one place to another, but it's not just kind of done through text, but you actually have like a cargo bay, you know. And if as you're traveling, if the cargo bay gets damaged and the items inside catch fire or something like that, you lose that mission. Or maybe you have someone on board the ship, you know, that you're transporting, you know, and maybe they're completely useless, but you just don't want them to die, and so you have to manage them. Or even other things like coming across like mining things. Like I mean, I'm the guy who actually likes running around in MMOs collecting resources, you know. I do that sometimes, but
well, that's fun. If you did have different quests and stuff besides just fighting and all that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, well, I want to go in this area, and I'm gonna mine stuff for a little while and play casually and not worry too much about fighting, and maybe I'll encounter a fight, you know, and then okay, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna either change ships or structure how I have my ship, and then I'm going to go do some combat stuff.
Or even like research stuff, like you know, even though it's a whole rebellion, pirates and everything, but I mean, you're also exploring, so it'd be interesting if you could also like learn something about a species, like are you picking up information or organisms or something. That would be interesting too.
I mean, there are a lot of mini missions that you have that you run into in the game. Like, there's a few that get more in depth, like when you actually run into them. Like, for example, there's sort of like a status pod that you can pick up from like running into a lab that you have no idea what it's for. If you go to the right place, then they'll like resurrect the dude, and you'll have like a whole unique race that, you know, was like extinct or something.
I was afraid to pick up that pod.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take. I was afraid it was going to be like something breaking out on the ship and killing everyone.
Right. Because that does happen.
There was a distress signal. I have not seen a single quest yet, but there was a distress signal that I got that was so, like, it was kind of random and super depressing. I kept thinking, "Oh,
Steve."
For the loss.
I kept thinking, like, is something else supposed to happen later? But basically, I got a distress signal. I went to this location. It told me that I encounter a man on a planet who appears to have been, you know, stranded there for years or something like that, a long time, and he's a little crazy, and it gives me the choice to either take him on board or leave him. And I'm like, well, I'm going to take him on board. So I click on it. I go, okay, I'm going to keep him. And the very next line is, the guy dies in the spaceship on the way back. And I'm like, what? Yeah. You know, I like nothing happened. You know, so I felt like either I leave him there and nothing happens, or he came back and he died, and it was weird.
the thing is like, I don't know if you guys have run into like blue decision things, like when there's a decision that's blue and it says like teleporter or Engie or whatever. Those are like throughout the game, and they only appear when you have the right thing. So it, like, for me, I've run into that situation you were talking about, Robert, like multiple times. Most times I get a crew member, but yeah, there was one time where it's just like, yeah, well, he died. It's very possible that if you had something, you would have had a blue option that would have saved him, like maybe an improved med bay or something. So that's one of the things, like Steve was talking about a while back, the giant spiders that are attacking. Like, I've never been able to actually save someone. I've tried that, I think, 3 times to save them, and I always lose a crew member. And I'm pretty sure that there's something that I could have that would make that a positive thing, you know?
Yeah.
That's one of the fun things about the game that I've learned as I've played it, is that there's so many different situations that if you have a specific like upgrade or a specific crew member, you can get something good out of it. But if you don't, then it just seems like all downside. So like when you first start, then it's like, oh well, everything's crap. But once you start running into that stuff, then it's like, oh, this it adds so much more depth to the game, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of the slaver
explore a lot
ships
more.
give you stuff.
Hmm?
A lot of the slaver ships will give you like a crew member.
Yeah, yeah. If you buy it from them, or you just
Or you attack them and then they go, oh no, take
Yeah.
one, else they'll all die. I'm like, okay.
Right. Yeah, one of the interesting things is
just for that reason.
What'd you say?
There, Steve?
yeah.
They're one of my favorite ships to attack, simply for the reason that you could just practically get a free member for your ship.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, actually, if you teleport on board and you take them all out without killing the ship, then you get a choice usually of which guy you want to save, because you basically saved them all. So, yeah, that's another thing. Like if you actually teleport and attack people, when you take out the crew, you usually get better stuff than when you just blow up a ship. So I've been doing that recently because it's fun.
That actually leads to another question I had. What did everybody prefer or enjoy more, ship upgrades or things you can buy in the shop?
Ship upgrades for me. I mean, I didn't always. Well, I guess I would have had the money if I didn't spend it on ship upgrades. But I generally enjoyed upgrading my ship more than purchasing things, just because the things that I would purchase were usually just various modules that I had to do other things for, and what I'd rather focus on was actually just improving what I already had. But of course, the point in the game where I was actually prepared to start buying things from the store, I died. Fuel.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting balance between trying to buy resources so you continue, or can continue, or trying to buy upgrades so you can potentially deal with something better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my first go-to stuff to buy was always better guns. I just assumed that would help me out the most. But ended up being the reality was that shields seemed to save you through most of the game.
Yeah.
So long as you had shields, because people could stack lasers upon lasers and blasters and whatever, and they would just rip right through it because you only got the one layer.
Yeah.
But as soon as you had two, the game just seemed to have kind of paced out a bit more midway through the map.
Yeah, when I upgraded to my second shield layer, everything felt so much easier. I mean, there were still challenges, but I felt like that little cushion was very helpful. And actually, that kind of reminds me. Well, actually, I'm not sure if everyone's answered that question, but I have another question for everyone.
Well, could we have Tony give his opinion on the ships and shops, ships versus shops, or whatever?
Right. I guess I think you need to do a certain amount of upgrading to survive, like especially the shields, like you were talking about. With one shield layer, it's just too easy to penetrate through. When you start having 2 or 3, then like lasers can't get through anymore, and you're almost invincible unless they have a missile. So I think like the defense, I like upgrading that first, but after that, there's a lot of beneficial stuff at the stores that I liked getting, like the teleporter, the cloaking. The cloaking actually I think is like the best thing against the flagship at the end. So
oh man.
So I think that's something that it's really expensive. It's 150 scrap, but you know, like there's some things that you can only get at a store that are really sort of essential. So I liked what Steve was saying. There is a really big balance. It's like you can spend all the scrap you get immediately upgrading your ship, but then when you hit a store, you're not gonna have anything to buy with. So So yeah, I mean, I think I'm more interested at this point aiming at the store, just getting those upgrades, and then
Well, I think once you figure out how to use what you have on your ship a little better, the upgrades aren't as necessary. You know, like I pumped a lot of energy into all my weapons, and I actually didn't really need all of them active all the time. You know, because I didn't want to use up all my missiles. So what I really should have done is just have enough energy to make sure I had my basic lasers functional, and then also and one of my missiles if I needed it. You know.
right. Yeah, yeah. I think one of the funny things I like to do with the power is I always turn the oxygen off for the most part. So I'm just keeping track because like once it goes like below 25%, it'll like beep at you like oxygen's.
Oh yeah.
So as long as they don't take out the oxygen, you're fine. Your crew's not going to die until it goes down. So I always have a little extra power, but then I run that risk of
It's a little
they hit the
scary.
oxygen. I'm like, no.
One of my favorite aspects about this game is that power management, because it just reminds me of those scenes in the sci-fi movies where the guy goes, divert all power to shields,
Yeah.
Which
Right.
is awesome, right? But one thing I've kind of noticed is I feel like you can't put more power into something than it allows you to, and the amount of power that you put into something is usually so small that if you take even 1 point away, you're sacrificing like half of its value. And I mean, I'm not suggesting it be complicated, but I almost feel like any stat you should be able to put more power into something than maybe it's generally supposed to have if you really need to boost it. You know what I mean? Like some kind of temporary or even some kind of exceptional boost. But it's, obviously it draws so much power from other things. I guess there was a certain point where I was only ever managing 1 or 2 points of energy, and it wasn't like more than that. Because there was a couple times when it was like, I need to put out fires. I can't attack right now. What I wanted to do is just shove everything into shields and engine dodge, and then just, get out the fires before I go back to attacking. But I couldn't really do that. So I was just like, I don't know. It was just one of those things. It's not a huge deal, but it's something that I felt I would have liked a little different.
The flexibility is a little small at first, but later on, when you start to really have a lot more power, you really do start to, because like even shields, at first they just require 1 power per for the layer, but then it starts taking 2, and then you literally do start to cut shields in order to use better weapons. I mean, even for instance, you can see now I have a weapon called the glaive beam.
Oh yeah.
It requires 5. I have never had this before, and I really want to try it, but this might be one of those scenarios where I cut the oxygen and the engines just for the sake of majesty.
Yeah.
Killing half the crew.
Do it.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
it's
you
all
should try
learning
it.
experience. Yeah, I mean, like one of the things I'm doing now, actually, it's sort of a scary proposition to do, but if you don't, you can upgrade your reactor to have more power, but if you sort of don't do that, and you start upgrading like your shields and your engines, even though you don't have enough power, you really can sort of do the thing you were talking about, Robert. Like the gameplay that I'm doing right now, I'm really focusing on the crew teleporter attacking their ships.
Yeah.
So at first I have my weapons on and I take out their med bay as fast as possible. Once I do that, I haven't upgraded my reactor much at all, but I've upgraded my shields and my engines. So I teleport my crew onto their ship. Then I just turn off all my weapons and turn up my shields and engines, like you were saying. And it's like they can shoot at my ship all they want, and it doesn't hurt me. But I'm not shooting at their ship anymore because I don't want to destroy their ship with my crew on it.
Yeah.
So my weapons are all off, my shields and my engines are all on, and so like my ship is good. I'm just attacking them from the inside. So like I've never done that before this playthrough. Like usually I have them pretty even. Like I have enough power to. I think that's what most people do. But yeah, if you really stop putting points into the reactor and put them into those other like systems, then you can do that. But it's a lot sort of scarier to manage because then you don't have enough power to do everything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah, because I guess the way I had been doing it is just managing all of that equally. So I never upgraded anything without having enough power to do it.
Yeah. That's what most people do.
The other question I was going to ask is, for the most part, 90% of the time, I always targeted the enemy's shield generator, and there were
That's
only
what I do.
there were only a few cases where I ever changed that. There was when they had teleporters, I tried to knock those out. And then there was a case where they had a lot of weapons and no shields, so I just focused on the weapons. Did you guys have any other experiences or any real good examples of different choices? I mean, Tony, you just mentioned it.
I mostly attacked shields, just because I figure once you get those down, they're pretty vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the only other time I didn't do that was when they didn't have shields. And I would either go for the weapons, depending on how strong they were, or the oxygen. I mean, I haven't actually I don't remember seeing a ship with teleporters. Maybe I just was so busy focusing on shields I really didn't notice. I mean, maybe that would have helped me not get invaded a couple times if I had actually paid attention to that.
Yeah.
But most of the time it was just shields. Because they kind of attack all over the ship. It's kind of random, but I think that they go for shields a lot too. So I just kind of do the same.
One of the strategies that I tried in this game was simply just traversing as quickly as I could, and that was the number one problem I'd have is when they jump on the ship. You always need someone in the captain's chair to kind of make the drive keep going. Or at least even just a jump. However, I swear to it, there must be a list of priorities. That every time they jump on your ship, it's always oxygen, engines, weapons, medroom. And they would jump to the shields and all that too, but they always looked to get rid of things that would have you destroy them before likewise. As long as your weapons were out or as long as you couldn't escape, they didn't care after that. They just looked to kill you. And I managed to actually go a pretty far distance. But at one point, a couple people just showed up, and I just was stuck in the med bay, and after the oxygen was gone, it was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
They're all dead. Also, so the message that pops up when you die, and it's like,
it's so sad.
Your ship now floats infinitely through space until it's either picked apart by scavengers or, it's just like, oh, it's so sad and dark.
Well, that's the world that you're traversing, or the universe, or whatever we call it. It's sad and dark and full of pirates and scary aliens, slavers, and all kinds of things. Rebels.
I definitely want to see this game mature. I mean, there's still a lot I have yet to do in the game and discover new ships, new strategies. I mean, just what Tony mentioned about his strategy of shields and teleporting onto their ships, that just kind of like, I'm like, oh my god, that sounds awesome. I want to try that. So I'm sure there's more to do, but I want to see the game continue to mature. I would love to be able to customize ships. Like, it's all modular. So how awesome would it be if you had like a budget and you built your ship and where every room was placed, and of course there'd be rules to it. But all that, and then like have your crew members and and if they could add a multiplayer where maybe you do have two separate ships. And you're working together, or even even just a mode where every time you jump, there's a chance you're going to encounter another player who's online doing the same thing, you know, instead of NPCs. So it's just kind of this open world. You know, I don't know. I just see so many possibilities, you know, to it. It seems like there's a lot of cool things.
I would like the whole, like, maybe invite your friend to be on your ship, a crew member on your ship, and they could help you, you know, fight the galaxy together, or something like that. Or like you could, where it could be co-op style, multiplayer, and maybe you could take some of your best crew members and theirs and combine and make like an ultimate ship and crew or something like that.
Or even just going back to the whole resource collection idea, actually exploring and finding like new parts and items that you can, you know, fit together to create pieces for your ships, or you know, for lack of better terms, some kind of crafting system. You know, I don't know.
Ooh.
I think.
Or what about like allies? Like you could like find a new species of aliens and ally with them, and they could like have like a ship alongside you fighting with you.
Yeah. There's so many neat little things you can do, but at the same time, I also appreciate the fact that the game is fairly simple, fairly straightforward, and there's still a lot to do with just what's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would like, because I mean they have games like EVE Online.
Right.
And one of the issues I've had with that is I feel like a lot of people are kind of past just being in this empty space. And there is a lot of politics to it, which is nice, but I think the charm of this is the fact that the ship feels like it's yours, and you aren't just moving and shooting, you are controlling so many different aspects to the ship. Now, for instance, one of the joys of this game is the fact that it is easy to die in, and you start over with absolutely nothing. However, you do get to a point where you feel like, well, I wish I could really customize and build my ship and feel like it went somewhere.
Yeah, progress.
Feel like I actually could progress and do something great, which kind of puts people at two questions. You know, do you allow them to kind of have a very Bethesda-like game where you could be a mage that flies around shooting arrows out of your head, you know, with swords, you know, attached to your feet, and you're just amazing at everything? Because over time you'd have the best guns, the best shields, the best speed, and whatever. Yeah. Or do you limit that with a sort of talent system? You know, maybe you want to be a miner and you put so much into something that you don't have a choice to have shields.
Yeah.
Do you want to be, you know, a rebel with big guns, but now you can't, you know, use the bathrooms as quickly?
Well, and I think that's what would be interesting about it is I wouldn't want a game where you could eventually have the best, perfect machine. I would say I would want it to be, you know, like the way power works in the game. You can only invest so many points and energy into one or so many things at any given time. You know, and sure, you could build a ship that's stronger than others, but there would still be a limitation because you only had so much that you could focus on certain things. But I don't know. The game's great the way it is.
I mean, they could have it where they, if to say they were to make a second version or expansion or whatever, they could have like FTL Classic, just this one where you play it just as is. And then they could have like another one where it could be where you could save and you could customize and do all that stuff if that's what you really wanted.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to mention there's 9 ships in the game, I believe, and a lot of them are uncovered through just doing specific quests that are kind of difficult to go through. But when you do, you get that ship, and those ships are usually more powerful, but they have trade-offs. So there is a sort of sense of like upgrading.
Steve.
God damn it! The rebel ships have found me!
Your shame broadcast over the internet. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, like there is a little bit of, you know, you do a quest through one playthrough and you get this neat new ship, or like you can see right now, available achievements, complete 2 of 3 to unlock a layout. When you unlock the layout, you get a different type of that same ship. So you get different weapons, you get different upgrades and stuff. So you can get more stuff when you do certain things in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it is limited, but there's a decent amount. There's 9 ships, and there's a different layout for each one. So yeah, I just want to mention that.
I have my final questions I want to get through.
Yeah, go for it.
I usually ask at the end, would you recommend this to your friends? And this is already for purchase, but would you? Well, okay. Would you recommend it to your friends? That's just a straight question.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's a fun, interesting game. It's inexpensive. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone because, I know some people just don't have the patience for a game like this, but I think most people I know would find it very fascinating and really enjoy it.
Cool.
I find that this game would be amazing for people who kind of want that. I don't know. It's too tough to say whether people would enjoy it because it's quick or whether they enjoy it because it's complex. Because usually those things don't go together.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest this game to a lot of people, but I wouldn't suggest this game to people that want to pick up something real fast.
Mm.
And really, after 15 minutes, you get it. And it's very easy to understand, but first impressions are something big. And even with me, I tend to want to get right into it real fast. Which is, I did give it those 15 minutes, and I love the game. I can jump in and out really quick and, have a time of my life. But anyone else, they might just look at it and dismiss it as, my God, it's one of those, indie pixel games. It's too much for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely recommend it to majority of people. I think it has a really good mix of just being a quick game, but just having a ton of depth to it, that you can play it for a long time and not see everything that it has to offer still. So, I mean, especially for the price, I just think it's something that is easily enjoyable, and if you like it, then you can play it for a very long time before you get bored. So I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it to most people. I would say it's probably not the game for somebody who would want something where they could save it and slowly build their ship over time and have the best, most epic ship ever. But for a casual gamer, I think it's a good game if they can pick up on something pretty quickly. I mean, I would consider myself a casual gamer, and I really enjoy it. Anyone who, like I said before, had a childhood dream of having a crew and being on a ship, and being able to control all that stuff, then I would definitely recommend it to them as well. I think it's a fun game, and it's not expensive. It's on Steam. It's available for both PC and Mac, and that's pretty cool. So I would recommend it to most people, for sure.
Maybe not people that take losing hard.
Yeah, if they're sore losers, I would say no. At first, sometimes I get really frustrated. I'm like, oh my God.
Although at the same time, I'm sure people who hate losing, some of them might actually find this game to be the challenge that they want. They'd be like, what? I lost? No, never again.
Yeah.
What? I lost?
That's true.
Never again. And they'll just keep working at it. I don't mind losing. I don't mind losing all that much, so I might not be pushing myself as hard as I could be.
I've lost so many times. I've gotten over it. I'm just like, whatever. I'm gonna keep playing it. It's fun. I just want to get to the point where I get more stuff and I get to get farther. If I can't get to that point, it might frustrate me a little bit, but I think I will. It just takes time to learn everything about all the upgrades and the store and your crew members and all the things that you need to do to get better at it and get further. Yeah. And then of course there's that little element of that was really bad luck. that sucks. If somebody doesn't like that, then surprise, look, you're invaded or whatever. Then I would say no for them, but other than that, I would say yes.
Mhm.
So it's almost 8 now. We usually don't go for more than an hour. Um, I just want to. I'm actually going to announce next month's game right now because I already know what I wanted to do. The next GameOut is March 31st, which is actually Easter, and to celebrate Easter and spring and all that, we're gonna play Killer Bunnies.
Oh god.
So that's the next game. Is Killer Bunnies, and so I'll put a thing up for that in a while just to remind everyone that that's coming up. But I think everybody should play that game because it's so much fun to play it.
That would be something worth talking about.
Yes, yes. So thank you all for joining me and discussing FTL. Anybody out there who wants to play FTL, it's on Steam. I don't know if it's still on sale, 50% off or not. It was on sale, but it's actually pretty inexpensive. It's like $10. If you're interested in our games, Uncharted Interactive, you can go to unchartedinteractive.com. We have Kernips and Iron Synapse, and we actually have a new game, The Creature, which we will be advertising very soon. That will be for purchase. So look for that, and hope to see you March 31st after you've had a few rousing rounds of Killer Bunnies. So,
See you then.
Bye, everybody. See you then. Yeah.
See you guys.